Hi everyone, welcome back to AIAIAI, our very first video. And to get us started, we are going to read a letter from Emily, a college junior, age 20, who tells us the following. Dear professors, I'm writing to you anonymously because I'm stuck. I've always taken pride in doing things the right way. In high school, I used Grammarly to check my grammar, Google to find better words, and even templates from writing centers to organize essays. None of that felt like cheating. I felt like learning how to write better. Fast forward to now, I'm a junior in college, majoring in sociology. This semester, I started using Chat GPT to brainstorm, get feedback on my writing, and help me understand complex readings. It feels normal, like the next step up from the tools I've always used. But last week, I showed my parents a paper draft that I had refined using Chat GPT. They were shocked. My dad called it plagiarism dressed up as productivity. He said, if a machine helped you write it, it's not really yours. Now I'm second guessing myself. Am I crossing a line or just using the tools of my generation? I want to do what's right, but I also want to keep up, be efficient, and write at the level college expects. I know professors are still figuring this out too, so I'm asking you both. Where do we draw the line between help and dishonesty in the age of AI? What do you think, Oscar?
Well, this is a great question, Emily, and I think that you're not alone in what you're feeling. The reality is that not only students are facing these type of questions, but also educators and institutions. So we have talked about this with Christian, and we have come up with a number of areas that I think are important to discuss in order to fully understand the problem. And then maybe next week we're going to come up with some state of affairs of what's happening in the world of education, specifically in higher education, which is what we both do as well. The first of these topics that we want to talk about is that we need to identify what is AI in terms of, is it just a new tool that exists out there? Nobody will ever judge anybody else that picked a shovel to dig a hole in the yard. They're only using a tool to accomplish a goal. So is AI just a tool to accomplish the goal of writing a paper in your case, or getting answers for assignments, or anything really that goes on into college, homework, quizzes, exams? We need to define it first, and I think that that's the first important aspect that we need to talk about.
Okay, the second aspect that we're thinking about this is one where we think about intent versus transparency. So one thing that comes to mind here, for example, is to think about whether you use AI and how much you use it, and another is why you use it. For example, is it okay or sufficient for Emily to just disclose to their professors how AI was used in their assignments?
Another aspect that we need to think about necessarily is what constitutes a person's work. Is the idea fully yours if ChatGPT helped you with it? What if ChatGPT gave you the entirety of the idea? At which point in time can you claim ownership of the idea, or at which point in time can you claim the authorship of such an idea? And making that distinction is going to help us understand if there is a line and where that line needs to be traced.
Another topic that we have thought about is to what degree the different ways in which AI is being allowed or is being used can create an issue for equity and access. So we know that different institutions, different professors, and even different countries allow or view AI differently. And so you might naturally wonder if there are these different levels of usage in AI, will we ultimately see later down the line a problem with equity? Questions like, what if I didn't have access to AI when I was in high school? Will that translate into an inequitable opportunities for me down the line?
Second to last, I think, or we think we need to define what constitutes learning, right? In your field, and you mentioned in your letter that you're in a sociology major, right?
Yes, that's right.
Is it important for you to fully understand the concepts of sociology, and to what degree is it okay for Chat GPT to be able to give you the content versus you being able to think of what really is a fundamental foundational concept in sociology. If you see yourself in 10 years from now as a leader of your industry or your field, somebody that can sit in front of an audience and talk about the topic, are you going to be able to get to that point by simply producing answers with technology such as Chat GPT? Or does that not matter? I think that that part of the learning process is really important to define as individuals. Do you want to learn, or do you just need information in order to pass a course?
Another area that we think still an open question and has generated a lot of debate is how to treat AI from an institutional perspective. So we know different countries have adopted different takes on AI. There are countries like Australia or China, for example, where AI is now implemented in high schools and in some cases all the way down to elementary schools, whereas the US has lagged behind in this regard. And the open question here is, what is the best approach? Should we adopt an approach where AI adoption or AI is encouraged in the classroom, or should we adopt a more closed system, and what are the implications of the two paths?
Even institutions like universities, our very own university, has to take a stance sometimes. Some universities have declared their position in terms of the usage of AI and what they consider to be okay or not, but it's not a blanket statement. Some universities accept it and encourage it, and some others actually deter students from using it. So it's a big spectrum. In all these areas that we've talked about and all these issues, we're going to explore a little more with some more knowledge. We're going to prepare some data. We're going to see what the media says. We're going to pay attention to the different voices. So we're going to count on you to give us your comments, your ideas down below in this video so that we can inform the next video in this series, where we are going to explore what's the state of affairs in higher education with regards to AI. Is that plagiarism, or is it not plagiarism? Is AI cheating, or is it not? So until then, please give us a subscribe, give us a like if you can, share the video with your friends and family, and we appreciate you as always being here. Until next week, see you there.
See you soon. Bye.